Tonight, the Prime Minister is in the province. He's giving Atlantic businesses a boost and throwing his support behind Churchill Falls.
We can't control what other nations do, but we can control our destiny. It's time that we become our own best customer, buying Canadian to build Canadian. So your government will buy in this province and across this country.
It was exciting to get on the ice for the first time here at the Mary Brown Centre.
Yeah, we got a great squad here. The boys are really tight. Obviously, the end goal is the Mem Cup.
Well, the fans can't wait. The province's newest hockey team is on home soil and hitting the ice.
Welcome to the end of summer and the beginning of Memorial University Orientation Day. I'm Julia Israel, and I'll have that for you coming up.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Well, if you're a Liberal running for office in the upcoming provincial election, chances are you were at the shipyard in St. John's this afternoon. The Prime Minister was here to announce some tariff relief money. And as Terry Roberts reports, there were almost as many politicians on hand as trades workers.
This is a 140-year-old dockyard in St. John's. Hundreds of skilled workers keep these vessels in ship shape. But you couldn't swing a hammer here today without hitting one of these Liberal politicians. First-time candidates, familiar faces in search of re-election, and political stalwarts on their way out. An election call is imminent, with the Liberals and Premier John Hogan trying to hold the reins of power. The Red team got a high-profile boost today. The Prime Minister making a grand entrance to announce more money for businesses in the face of tariff turmoil from the United States.
They're labeling it trade resilience, and there's $1 billion in government money on the table for businesses to deal with the global shock of tariffs. And today we learned from the Prime Minister that $80 million of that will come to Atlantic Canada.
The money will flow through the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency to help small and medium-sized enterprises expand and retool their businesses and help establish new markets beyond the U.S.
These are agnostic, neutral across different industries, that what we're announcing. So you don't have to directly have a tariff impact in order to have them. What we're allocating here is bigger than the relative share of population, the relative share of GDP of the overall Canadian economy.
Here at the shipyard, they're eager to get on board.
I think that we can be positive about the future because our government is listening to us and they're responding in a way that we need. We need more jobs, we need economic boost, and we need to rely on our own resources and our own people.
Carney could have made this announcement in Halifax, Moncton, or Summerside, but the political temperature is in the red in this province. Hosting a Prime Minister with a favorable approval rating is enough to make these candidates smile, and the flattery was flowing.
Whether it's issues with trade and tariffs forced upon us by our Americans, I know that Prime Minister Carney is the right person to come to a good deal.
Carney's visit also comes at a time when government is fending off mounting criticism of the Churchill Falls MOU. The Prime Minister was quick to show his support for the proposed new energy partnership with Quebec.
Shouldn't underestimate just how many jobs will be created, for example, in Churchill, as it's built out, on top of the over $225 billion of revenues that come to this province.
Carney has pledged billions so the country can respond to a rapidly changing global economy and says he plans to pay for those investments by reducing wasteful government spending. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Now, according to federal data, there are nearly 65,000 small and medium-sized businesses in Atlantic Canada. So if the $80 million announced today were shared equally, each business would receive just over $1,200. Now, staying with the story, Premier John Hogan and Energy NL wrapped up a media availability just moments ago, and this after meeting with the Prime Minister earlier today. Here Now's Heather Gillis was there. She joins us now live. So, Heather, what do we know about their meeting with Mark Carney?
Well, we do know that the Premier and Energy NL CEO Charlene Johnson say they're pleased with commitments from Prime Minister Mark Carney today, especially around major developments that could happen in this province. Those major developments, of course, being the Bay du Nord oil project from Equinor, which they're currently working towards a final investment decision, and of course the Gull Island hydroelectric project, which could happen in Labrador as this province and Quebec continue to work on an MOU around a new deal for Churchill Falls. Those projects have caught the attention of the Prime Minister and are on a national list of nation-building projects. Charlene Johnson says, especially for her in the oil industry, there is now some optimism where previously there was some pessimism with the former Liberal government about oil development in this country.
The previous federal government, it has been a struggle to even hear the word oil. We've seen Minister Guilbeault talk about Bay du Nord as being probably the last project in Canada. So to see a Prime Minister have Bill C-5 in place, to have a major projects office in place, to talk LNG with Germany, and to have these two projects, it's really, I haven't seen this level of opportunity, this feeling of opportunity in a very long time. So it meant a lot for us.
Now, when it comes to the Gull Island project, obviously the federal government isn't involved in that. That's negotiation between this province and Quebec. But the Premier says that when he was talking to the Prime Minister, he said if there's any way that the feds could make that or any project go faster or cheaper, they're open to discussing it. Hogan says that the Prime Minister is listening to Newfoundland and Labrador. And when it comes to the $80 million for Atlantic Canada, for medium businesses, for tariff relief, as we're facing tariffs from both the U.S. and China, Hogan said there was no commitment to how that could break down for Newfoundland and Labrador. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Heather Gillis in St. John's.
Well, in other news, a 60-year-old man died in a motorcycle crash yesterday afternoon on the Trans-Canada Highway near Port Blandford. It happened late Sunday afternoon when the motorcycle collided with a guardrail. Clarenville RCMP are investigating the single vehicle collision. No other individuals or vehicles were involved. Police say the driver was deceased when he was located at the scene. And in other news, a Natwashish man found guilty of second-degree murder had a sentencing hearing today in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Eric Rich was charged with second-degree murder in relation to the 2021 death of Angela Gregoire, his partner at the time. Rich had been found guilty at the end of last year, and today the Crown said it was seeking 18 to 20 years before his parole eligibility. His defense team is pushing for 13 to 15 years before Rich can be paroled. A decision on sentencing is scheduled to be held on October 6th. Staying with news from the courts, a man accused of shooting a snowmobiler in Port-au-Port West last winter has pleaded not guilty to all 8 charges he was facing. Wayne Harold Hines appeared by phone during today's arraignment at Supreme Court in Corner Brook. He faces charges of attempted murder, careless use of a firearm, and aggravated assault. Now, back in February, snowmobiler Chad Hickey was crossing a small pond near Hines' home when he sustained a serious injury, and for weeks, the incident was shrouded in mystery, though RCMP later said evidence suggested the man was shot in the head. 66-year-old Wayne Hines has been in custody since March. No trial date has been set. Well, more provincial announcements now. A new remote learning program will allow people in rural areas to earn a teaching degree without having to move to St. John's. The program through Memorial University will be entirely virtual. The hope is to attract more teachers to the profession and place them in remote parts of the province.
We do get correspondence from folks, our staff and our admissions office, folks who are wondering, is there going to be some sort of way for me to be able to complete my teacher education degree without having to relocate? A lot of people come into teaching as a second career, people who have families, people who have spouses that have jobs that are already tied to rural Newfoundland. And so, like the minister said, we thought we really wanted to be able to capitalize on those talents that are sitting in rural Newfoundland, but who don't have access to the teacher education program.
Well, as candidates across the province gear up for the impending provincial election, political hopefuls in Placentia West, Bellevue are already pitching why they're the best suited to bolster the big industrial region. Peter Cowan has more from Marystown.
The signs of an election are all here in Brian Keating's shed. The mayor of Marystown is getting ready for the campaign with a pitch on the economy.
I've noticed that we've been rapidly going further backwards than ahead, especially with the opportunities we got in this district.
Placentia West Bellevue is home to big industry, from the oil refinery to Long Harbour nickel processing, bull arm and cowhead fabrication sites.
Without those large industries that I just named a few, we cannot survive. So I want to be a strong voice, bring it forward with a strong opinion to make sure that these facilities are noticed.
Voters have noticed the issue as well.
Our neighbors, they all work in Alberta and or different provinces. Maybe there's more opportunity within the province, and maybe they can bring more work within the province.
I was instrumental in saving the refinery.
Jeff Dwyer has been the MHA for 6 years, and he agrees that the economy will be a focus in this campaign.
Getting our own people back to work is really going to help our economy. Once our economy is thriving, then I think that will make all the difference to the people. Then there's a trickle-down effect.
But the fishery is also important. There's a big cod processing plant in Arnold's Cove. The NDP candidate comes from a fishing family and is a harvester herself. She says there needs to be a balance.
We do need these jobs in industry. We also need to maintain our culture and our heritage, and we need to do that so that people still can have access to things like the fishery, and they can get access to the woods so that they can go hunting and berry picking.
Talking about growing industry and actually having a plan are two separate things. As the campaign kicks off, it'll be up to voters to decide who they think will be best to deliver. Peter Cowan, CBC News, Marystown.
To some sports news now. Excitement is ramping up for hockey fans. The Newfoundland Regiment team will soon start its first season at the Mary Brown Centre in St. John's. The Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League is returning to the city after almost 2 decades. And on Saturday, season ticket holders were invited to an open practice for a taste of what to expect this fall.
It was exciting to get on the ice for the first time here at the Mary Brown Centre in St. John's, and not only exciting for a coach, but really exciting for our players and our fans. So we've been looking forward to this day since the team was announced. There's definitely a huge appetite for hockey here in St. John's, and we've always known that, but to be part of it is something really special. There's a real level of talent that I think the fans will be really excited about. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is not only do we have our players that are involved in the communities, involved in the schools, active in the community, but the level of talent that junior hockey has and the level of play is something that the fans will get behind.
It's pretty cool to see so many fans out there for practice. I've never really experienced that, so it was really great to see the fans come out. Heard the fans are great here, so I can't wait to see them all come. I'm from a little town called Surrey, PEI, and grew up there and started playing hockey through the Kings County Kings organization, and then moved up to Charlottetown for midget and got drafted to Quebec Ramparts, got traded the Acadie Bathurst Titan, and here I am in Newfoundland. We got a great squad here. The boys are really tight, and we're looking forward to getting the regular season on the go, and we're looking to have a big year. We're going to hope for a long playoff run, hopefully win the Cup, and obviously the end goal is the Mem Cup.
You know, it's getting a real feel to it now. Now officially having the players and the coaching staff here. Obviously the open practice we had this morning for our season ticket holders was very well attended. You know, over a couple of thousand people here, which reflects the number of season ticket holders that we have. We're probably close to 2,400. You know, one of probably our second best in the 35 years of hockey that we've had here. St. John's is a hockey town, and they have supported hockey here. You know, even prior to professional hockey, and even when you're back in the amateur hockey days. So, but this one has a special feel to it, and you can really feel the atmosphere around town when people talk to you about the Newfoundland Regiment Hockey Club. And our opening night, we sold out 2 weeks ago. Night 2, we only have a couple hundred tickets left. Now we're looking at for games 3 and 4. We start with an 8-game homestand, so you can really feel the excitement in town on this one. It's something special.
Well, as we head through the next couple of days, we've got a little bit of unsettled weather to get through, especially as we head towards the end of the week. But we're going to say goodbye to the humidity that has been gripping most of the island through at least yesterday and through today. And we've got a few more showers to get through up across Labrador as well. I will get into all the details when I come back a little later.
Well, it's back to school for post-secondary students. Memorial University kicked off its fall semester with an orientation day ceremony today. It's the start of 2 weeks of programming at the St. John's campus.
So we're here today for our welcome ceremony. We have all of our undergraduate students in first year. They're here to see a little bit of our programming this week. We're going to have some wonderful carnivals, fairs, welcomes, events. It's a full 2 weeks, full-fledged for students.
Welcome to Memorial University.
For a lot of people, they came in from maybe outside the country, outside the province, or just outside of town. So it might be the first time that they're meeting up with so many people or so little people. It fosters the friendships and it fosters a sense of community, and that is something that Welcome Week always aims to achieve. I think coming from high school, a lot of people have this misconception of university, like you have to know what you're going to do going into university, like at least set on 1 degree. But I find that that is more likely not the case. And that was my story as well. I will say, do that thing that you were afraid of doing, get awkward, get weird, stand out. University is a place of learning, it's a place to grow. And if you don't do these things, you never know. And if you never know, why you're here. It's not difficult, it's just new.
Get involved and get involved early. I didn't get involved until my 3rd year of university, and it's probably my biggest regret so far.
How come?
I was nervous, honestly, and still adjusting to university life. I wanted to find that balance, but I found better balance when I actually got involved, and I've met some of my lifelong best friends in this program.
It's really important during this time that we allow them to know they have a community here. They have folks who will assist them with any questions they have. We always say that we see them from today, which is welcome ceremony, all the way through to convocation within our portfolio, and it's important on that student journey that we're here for them.
While students in St. John's get settled away, Memorial University's Grenville campus also saw lots of new faces this morning as students moved into their new homes for the school year. Resident assistants were there to help, and CBC stopped by to hear what advice they're giving the new students.
We are having the second day of student housing move-in for students. I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be able to welcome back students to campus again because it's going to be my last year doing that as I'm going to be graduated next year. There are a lot of people that I met in university that are almost like my second family, and they're just very close to my heart, and I feel everyone just finds their people in university. Come out to events, just be around, even if I know there are a lot of people who are not used to socializing, not used to talking a lot, and introverted. It's hard, but take a friend or just go out, say hi, and people will automatically start talking to you. Whatever happens, it's okay. Do not pressure yourself very, very much. Everyone has their standards and expectations, but you do you. Go in your own pace, even if it takes you some time. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll do great.
We had a lot of smiling faces, a lot of returning faces. People were coming back. People were excited to see their friends, which is always so amazing to see. I was excited to see my friends. It was just all around good vibes. So as a chalet advisor or residence assistant, we are really good for talking to students and getting to make sure that they know what campus offers, so we can kind of help first-year students get used to the university life. I personally found my first year kind of tough just because of, you're coming to a new place, you don't know anybody, or you know very few people. You're away from your family. That was a big one for me. So just kind of knowing that it's going to be okay, you're going to find your people, you're going to have a great time, it's going to be okay.
It is certainly adding a lot of stress to our financial situation of having to use more of your operating line of credit than I normally would.
A welcome relief for some Atlantic businesses. Stay with us. We'll have some more reaction to Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit to the province. That's coming up.
Details.
A province-wide fire ban will remain in effect until Friday, September 12th, at which time government will reassess the need for that ban. It's been in place since October 12th due to extremely dry conditions and multiple devastating wildfires. Anthony Padden Elementary School in Musgrave Town was closed today while it was being used as an emergency response center for evacuated residents of Lethbridge. That emergency center was then moved to the Salvation Army Citadel. The evacuation order for Lethbridge was lifted late this afternoon. Residents there remain under an evacuation alert after a wildfire broke out near Sexton Lumber late Sunday afternoon.
We don't have information on the specific cause. We know that the fire was to start in the vicinity of the bark pole that spread to the forest. We don't have exact figures right now of the area size, but we do know it's in the vicinity of around 1 hectare. Throughout the night, local fire departments, there was 3 in total, that stayed and monitored the fire throughout the night. And we do know that due to the suppression efforts yesterday of the 3 water tankers, that fire did get knocked down before the late hours. There was no significant movement overnight on that fire, and it's not seen the same movement that we were at the latter hours yesterday afternoon.
All right, time for a look at the weather. And just to clarify, I'm not sure what I said then, but the ban has been in place since August 12th.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, just to make that clear.
All good.
Okay, so Ashley, it was hot and it was humid out there today.
It certainly was. Temperatures were well above where we should be sitting this time of year. Temperatures around 24 degrees in St. John's this afternoon, 25 in Terra Nova. So those were the warm spots across the province today. But we did have temperatures quite mild for southeastern portions of Labrador as well. 20 degrees in Cartwright, 22 in Mary's Harbour. But that 24 degrees in St. John's combined with reaching the 20-degree mark twice this weekend has brought us to 79 times where we've seen that temperature at or above the 20-degree mark in St. John's. So that means that we are in a 3-way tie now for the most amount of days. That tied the record from 2012 as well as 2022. So in the long-range forecast, so I don't see the chance of seeing any more 20-degree temperatures, at least this week, but we certainly have more days. We've seen them in October before, so we'll see how close we get. But for now, we've tied that record. Those temperatures right now still sitting at 20 degrees. Humidex value feels like 26 in St. John's, but we can see that humidity has backed off now through central. And as we head through the next couple of hours, we will see that humidity move off, and the remainder of the week will feel very comfortable. So we'll say goodbye to that humidity, at least for the time being. Taking a look at what we've got on the go right now, just some showers, just a few showers for the eastern portion of the island, mainly seeing that right now. We did see or hear a few rumbles of thunder up across Labrador earlier. I think the risk for thunderstorms has pretty much ended. At least for you, but we will see the chance of some more showers over the next couple of hours for eastern areas of the island, but that will be it. By the time we get to midnight tonight and past midnight, we should actually see that shower activity end for most areas. We may see a little bit more activity across the Avalon, but for the most part tonight, just looking at some cloudy skies, partly cloudy through central west coast as well, but the chance of showers will linger right through the overnight for coastal areas of Labrador, towards the upper Lake Melville area as well. You are still looking at the chance of some showers through the overnight tonight. Temperatures are going to be coldest in Lab City, where you'll drop to about 2 degrees. Otherwise, the rest of Labrador will sit somewhere between 5 and 8 degrees, and then much milder across the island, somewhere between 10 to 15 degrees overnight tonight. Those winds are going to stay out of the west, and they'll be gusting somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Pretty much island-wide, with the exception of southeast coast of Labrador. You're looking at your winds gusting westerly somewhere between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So it will be a bit breezy tonight. As we get into tomorrow, most of us will be seeing cloudy periods through the day. I think the clouds will be a bit more stubborn for the south coast as well as eastern Newfoundland, but the sun should peek out at times through central, west coast. Definitely sunshine for the northern peninsula. And then Labrador will start fairly quiet tomorrow, but the slight chance of some showers will move in pretty much until we get into the afternoon and evening hours, particularly around Lab West and then for the north coast as well. Otherwise, just really looking at a mix of sun and cloud through the day. Then we will see some more shower activity move in overnight and into early Wednesday, kind of setting the stage for a little bit of a wet Wednesday for most of the Big Land anyway, and then across the island looking fairly quiet through your Wednesday. Your temperatures tomorrow are going to return to where we should be sitting this time of year in the mid to upper 20s, mid to upper teens tomorrow with west or northwest winds gusting somewhere between 25 to as much as 40 kilometers per hour through the day. And then for Labrador, you're also looking at your temperatures staying a little bit on the cool side, but this is where you should be sitting this time of year. Winds will be out of the southwest for those of you in Lab West, somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Again, some shower chances. Now towards the coast, your winds will be blowing out of the west, and they'll be somewhere between 30 to 50. And then again, southeastern Labrador, your winds will be out of the northwest, and your temperatures will be a little on the cool side, but gusting somewhere between 30 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour. So that's a look at your Tuesday forecast. We have a little bit of sunshine for parts of the province on Wednesday, and then more rain will move in. I'll get into all of that a little later.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped? Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Inuk First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
As we heard earlier, $80 million from a $1 billion tariff relief fund will be dedicated to businesses in Atlantic Canada. That's what Prime Minister Mark Carney announced today on the wharf in St. John's. Here's the Prime Minister talking about how that money could be used by businesses.
This region's a giant in fishing, manufacturing, forestry, IT, energy, shipbuilding. And its overseas trade corridor sitting here in St. John's Harbour connect Canada with the rest of the world. Now, the $80 million under that regional tariff response initiative that goes to Atlantic Canada will help, as I said, SMEs to expand into new markets. For example, developing innovative packaging and product formats. Think in food processing, in fishery, vacuum-sealed lobster tails or flash frozen crab clusters, tailored for high-demand European markets. But it'll also help strengthen supply chains as businesses upgrade their cold storage and live holding systems, so products can stay longer, as fresher for longer, and make it easier to reach more export markets overseas. And our manufacturing and resource industries will also benefit. So equipping Atlantic Canadian businesses with the tools they need to respond to new challenges, to innovate, to modernize, to expand operations and customer bases, to take full advantage of new opportunities. These are the ambitions that align with the missions and what's guiding your government to build lasting economic strength. It's what Premier Hogan's government is focused on. Now, we recognize that we're only going to realize these opportunities if we act. And you know, that can be tough in times like this. Changes in the global economy. This isn't just a phase, it's not just a transition, it's a rupture. It's a fundamental change that's happening in a very short period of time. And that rupture brings immense uncertainty. And when you have that big uncertainty, that can paralyze decision making, hold back investment, stifle growth. But this is not the time to delay and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. It's time, as I said earlier, to control what we can control. The products we buy in Canada. Taking the time so our businesses can have what they need to adjust to new realities. Getting capital to our businesses so they can retool and find new markets. And getting our workers, helping them have the skills they need for the future.
Now, for the company Labrador Gem Seafoods, today's $80 million announcement is a major boost for business. Danny Dumaresque spoke with CBC News today about dodging one tariff bullet earlier this year before being hit with another. All of this uncertainty, he says, has his company turning to other species to make money.
Perfect storm. We anticipated in early February that the U.S. under Donald Trump was going to nail us with major tariffs, but as it happened, we escaped that bullet, but we caught another from China earlier this spring. And in our business, we have traditionally received about 80% of our employment from scallops, and unfortunately this year, it looks like they're only going to make up about 20% of our production. And we had to turn to another species, the whelk, which is a sea snail, in order to be able to give my workforce the required employment that they deserve. And that in turn puts a lot of pressure on us because the Chinese market was the biggest in the world. And now their pricing has made it certainly impossible to operate on a viable basis. And some time ago, early July, I had to make the decision. do I buy more of this product that I know is going to be more difficult to market and make money? But at the same time, I want to retain our workforce. We are the only employer of essence on the tiny but beautiful island of Ramia on the south coast of Newfoundland. And I took the risk. And at this stage, certainly any help coming from the provincial and federal governments, in this case today federal, are very welcome. And we certainly hope that it will be available to us.
With much of the country experiencing unusually dry conditions, many Canadians are looking for ways to conserve water. As Kayla Hounsell explains, some in the Maritimes are calling on governments to do more planning to address the impact of climate change.
We think it's about 200 years old.
Letha Haysom says this is the first time she's ever been able to see the bottom of her well on Nova Scotia's South Shore.
I think it's about 35 feet deep.
She's trying to conserve water. Heading to a nearby provincial park to take a shower, saving up dirty clothes to take to a laundromat 16 kilometers away. It's swamped with others also trying to prevent their wells from running dry, which got her thinking.
If we keep consuming our water at the same rate, but just going to a different spot to consume it, we're still affecting the same water table and the same watershed.
As parts of the Maritimes grapple with the driest summer on record, she's calling on governments for more effective plans for long-term water conservation. Some municipalities have already issued mandatory water restrictions, prohibiting the use of outdoor water and threatening to cut it off altogether if residents don't comply.
We all pay taxes, and yet you're going to threaten me with shutting my water off? We're the ones that have to deal with it because the powers that be haven't planned accordingly.
We're not as much water rich as we think.
This expert says Canada needs more efficient water distribution pipes, homes designed to capture rainwater, and more tiered water pricing, where the price per unit increases when someone uses more.
The price of the water is one of the cheapest in Canada, and so that kind of feeds the behavior that it is normal to waste a lot of water. In Europe, you wouldn't do that because it is expensive, it hurts your wallet.
Haysom is hoping for rain and trying to be more mindful of how her water usage affects her wider community. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Crosstown, Nova Scotia.
Another story about preparing for dry conditions. An iconic Canadian water bomber is on the production line for the first time in almost a decade. The demand for these planes continues to grow with widespread wildfires continuing across North America and parts of Europe. Josh McLean has more.
At this Calgary factory, a work in progress. This will be a DHC 515 Firefighter, the first of its kind to be built in nearly 10 years.
It's really exciting for us to be bringing the aircraft back into production.
The original design dates back to the 1960s. It's also known as a super scooper, and you can see why. A workhorse for fighting wildfires in Canada and Europe.
That's why they've been very popular in Canada, because of the amount of lakes that we have. They've been very popular in Europe because you have the Mediterranean.
Bombardier stopped production in 2015. De Havilland acquired the rights not long after, resuming production on a modernized version last October, and buyers are lining up.
We expect more fire in the future, more intense fire in the future, which is difficult, challenging to impossible to extinguish some of these fires if they get large. So we need a strategy to deal with this new reality.
European countries have ordered the first 22 aircraft. Manitoba and Ontario plan to buy some too, but those planes won't be taking off until 2030 at the earliest, a worrying timeline for some as Canada's existing fleet ages.
We've got 5 years of what I call, spit and baling wire to keep the CL-215s in the air.
Water bombers can buy you time, especially when the conditions are extreme like we've been seeing, hot, dry, and windy. They buy you that time to get a handle on the fire. So that's the best use, and we have a shortage.
De Havilland says it will ramp up production if there is enough demand for their planes.
We're anticipating somewhere up to 11 a year, but if there are significant orders that come in, we're going to challenge ourselves to produce more to satisfy the demand.
For now, Canadian fire agencies will have to make do with what they have until these aircraft can take to the skies. Josh McLean, CBC News, Calgary.
French Prime Minister François Bayrou has been defeated in a confidence vote, plunging the country into a political crisis. Bayrou must now tender his resignation to the country's president, Emmanuel Macron.
Au nom du gouvernement, remercier l'Assemblée nationale.
Bayrou, seen here in the National Assembly, had called for an emergency confidence debate on the country's debt. He proposed cost-cutting by scrapping 2 national holidays and freezing welfare payments and pensions. But lawmakers on the left and hard right united against his government. Polls indicate few French citizens view debt control as a national priority. France will now have its 5th prime minister in less than 2 years. We'll be right back. After a multi-year hiatus, the Newfoundland and Labrador Historic Trust held its Doors Open event on Sunday, which allows visitors to step inside historic St. John's buildings free of charge. And this year, one included a structure that didn't have a door at all, actually, the Cantilever Bridge in Bowring Park.
The more people come out and actually are able to nose around in these buildings and see how they tick, I think the more appreciation they can gain for what's behind the front door. These are heritage buildings that have like unique architectural features that maybe have an interesting history in the province or the city, and maybe they're not always open to the public. We know people love this event. They email us about it whenever, especially when it wasn't going on, and they were asking when is it going to return. So we knew there was a demand for it, and I think we're already kind of overjoyed at how big it is. It's larger than we expected. We're really excited about this because it's a historic structure, not a building you can walk into, obviously. So it's slightly different than the typical offering here. But this is a unique thing in the city of St. John's. This bridge was co-designed, I suppose, with the Danish engineering firm Ovarup, and they're the people responsible for engineering the Sydney Opera House. So to have this in our backyard and just sort of be tucked away in a corner of Bowring Park here is remarkable. And a few years ago, I think architect Robert Mellon wrote about it, and the city sort of said, oh, we have this like amazing asset here, we should take care of it. And they began a rehabilitation project, and we're really excited that the city decided to put some money into this feature because it's unique. As people come and check it out, they think, this is more beautiful than a bridge needs to be, and we should celebrate that.
So what's really interesting about the structure is that it had to cross between low and high ground over the Newfoundland Railroad. So it's a rather daring structure because it's a cantilever that arches over the railbed, and it fundamentally is supported by the stairs and the platform at the bottom. That gives it a lot of weight. There's a hinge in the middle, which is almost like the legs of an elephant. If you imagine looking sideways and an elephant sitting down with its trunk extending over the railway, then it actually does not touch down at the top. So that's what a cantilever would be. It's supported on one side only. So for 1959, it's remarkable that they were able to build this structure and that it's lasted so long. Usually the Doors Open opportunities are in some of the older buildings, older houses and Victorian houses in downtown St. John's. So it's great that a project from the late 50s, early 60s is being recognized.
So interesting, that bridge is kind of tucked away, so you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
In Bowring Park, but yeah, it's really, really neat.
And a great weekend to enjoy it.
Yes. It was funny today with the Prime Minister in town and talking about just coming from Ottawa and how it really feels like fall in Ottawa right now, and how it definitely does not feel like fall in St. John's today because it was so warm and so humid.
So humid this afternoon. Yeah, we're going to see that. We're going to say goodbye to the humidity as we head through at least tonight and into tomorrow. We'll return to more seasonable conditions. And that's where we'll be for the rest of the week. For most of us as well. Let's take a look at what's going on weather-wise. For your Wednesday, we're going to start to see some rain move in up across Labrador, so expect some unsettled conditions through the day. We will see a ridge of high pressure dominate the weather picture across the island, so Wednesday actually looks pretty decent, at least to start. Then we'll see some cloud cover move in late day. Starting in the south, and then it'll work its way north as we head into the afternoon hours and evening hours for the island. But again, unsettled conditions expected for most of you up across Labrador. So expect that chance of showers to continue. Your daytime highs will be right around where you should be sitting. So 11 to 17 degrees across the Big Land, and then across the island, maybe reaching the 20-degree mark through Central, but most of us will see mid to upper teens. I keep wanting to say mid to upper 20s because I sit it basically all summer long, but that is not the case now. We're looking at mid to upper teens as our daytime highs. Again, Central, maybe the Burin Peninsula may reach the 20-degree mark, but that is about it. As we look ahead into Thursday, this area of low pressure going to stick around and keep things unsettled for most of Labrador through the day, and then across the island. We are looking at lots of cloud cover for your Thursday, and this is when we'll see that shower activity move in as well through the afternoon. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the weather goes. But our daytime highs will get back to the 20s through central. Again, you'll likely see those shower activity later in the day, but rain, the story for St. John's, where you'll hover around 14 degrees through the afternoon. Same thing for the northern peninsula and along the south coast. Then for Labrador, single digits for the north. Otherwise, your temperatures will sit somewhere between 10 to 14 degrees as our daytime high on Thursday. Taking a look at our long-range forecast, Thursday and Friday, we're looking at periods of rain for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. But by the time we get into Saturday, we will likely see some showers to start the day, but some sunshine should peek out into the afternoon, with our daytime highs generally sitting in the teens and our overnight lows dipping by Friday and Saturday into the single digits. Now for central Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperature around the 20-degree mark for Thursday, but then dropping by Friday. That's when you'll see some rain move in late Thursday into Friday, and then Saturday looking at sunshine and a high near 16. But again, your overnight lows will sit in the single digits. Same thing for western Newfoundland, rain for your Friday. Saturday looking at some sunshine and a high near 16. Then for Labrador, by the time we get into Friday morning, you'll see some showers, but then that should clear off, lead to a nice Saturday for you. 13 to 15 degrees will be your daytime highs. And then for western Labrador, oh yeah, Wednesday, slight chance you'll see the risk, not slight chance, there's a risk you'll see some thunderstorms. But by Thursday, we should see some sunshine, and that will clear out for the rest of the week. Our weather photo on the west coast, Portland Creek. Great sunset photo there. Thank you so much to Bob for that. You know, the sun meets the horizon at the sunset, so different way of putting it. Thanks for that. Any weather photos you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that is gorgeous. The sky and the reflection of the sun, just beautiful, Bob. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, it's been such a nice summer, such a nice September. And
So far,
I have to say I had a very exciting morning this morning because I have a peach tree and my peaches are all ripe now. So I had a wonderful little peach harvest today. You had one of my
And I
peaches,
ate one
right?
and they were delicious. Yeah, the bumper crop for a lot of things. Blueberries I see are plentiful and yummy.
All the sunshine that we've had really helped with all of those things.
Definitely.
All right, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.